He is someone who has seen the scenery from the top, so his vision must be bigger than others. If there is a better choice, he will not insist on his own way. In a daze, Ain felt his neck hurt so much that it felt like it was about to break. Teacher, I suddenly remembered that Teacher Zafa was still fighting with the pirate before, and I didn't know what the outcome was, and I woke up suddenly. When he opened his eyes, he saw his teacher, who had always hated pirates, sitting opposite the pirate and talking about something. The atmosphere was surprisingly harmonious. Ain suspected that he was dreaming and pinched his face hard. It hurts. What is going on? Hey, Ain, you are awake. You must be hungry. Brother Beb just grilled the meat. Come over and have something to eat. Zafa greeted him. Teacher, aren't they pirates? What wrong with you? Ain asked, puzzled. There were some misunderstandings before, but they have been resolved now, Zafa said a little embarrassedly. Is it that simple? Teacher Zafa, can you make sure before arresting someone next time? Ain said helplessly. Ha. Of course. Zafa laughed while scratching his messy hair. Now that the misunderstanding is resolved, change us back quickly. Damn, Enel said angrily with a sour face. Oh, I am sorry. Ain quickly bowed to the two of them and apologized. Then he walked quickly up to the two men and patted them several times. The two of them began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. During this time, Bentham also took the opportunity to touch Ain's face. Ain thought this guy was a pervert, but because he already felt guilty, he didn't say much. Is this the fruit of regression? It really eye-opening. Crocodile couldn't help but exclaimed. I have a small question. Can Miss Ain help me solve it? He asked immediately afterwards. Of course, Ain said politely. How long can the effect of the fruit of regression last on a person? Asked Crocodile. In theory, as long as I don't lose consciousness due to external reasons, the effect will continue. However, my current limit is to regress 12 years at a time, Ain said after thinking for a while. Can I experience it too? I have forgotten what it feels like to be young. Crocodile suddenly had a bold idea. Crocodile has never paid much attention to physical training, and there should not be much change in his strength when he was young compared to now. The reason why he is so powerful now is all thanks to the strengthening in the strongest training camp. This golden finger is completely beyond this world. He guessed that it is very likely that the fruit of regression will not have any effect on the strongest training camp. After all, he was originally just a young man in his 20s. If he could return to the physical condition of crocodile youth, not only would his appearance be younger and more beautiful, but his strength might also be improved. As for Ain's loss of ability due to his coma, it was not a problem for him at all. He just needed to spend some more money to buy the skill himself. Hey, are you sure you want to do this? It was the first time Ain heard someone make such a request and he felt a little bit unbelievable. Of course, you can still restore me to my original state, so there's nothing to worry about. Crocodile spread his hands. Okay then. Crocodile had said so, and Ain had no reason to refuse. After all, it was just a matter of raising his hand. The moment Ain's delicate hands touched Crocodile, he felt his muscles and skin quickly become tense, and he looked much thinner. The physical strength that had just been consumed in the battle was instantly restored, and was even more abundant than before. With the perception of life returning, he discovered that some of the hidden injuries that Crocodile body had suffered before, along with the wrinkles on his face, had disappeared. Most importantly, he felt that the domineering energy in his body was still flowing. Everything obtained through the enhanced training camp is intact. This discovery made Crocodile so excited that he almost laughed out loud. After taking several deep breaths, Crocodile mood gradually calmed down. Please come again, Miss Ain, Crocodile said to Ain on his face. Come again? Ain widened his eyes in surprise. Yes, thank you Miss Ain, Crocodile confirmed again. Ain had no choice but to fulfill his wish. This time, not only his body became younger, the left hand he constructed using the power of the sand fruit actually shattered into pieces. 5 tiny buds appeared on the bare broken wrist, and then grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, It grew into a slender palm with delicate skin. Crocodile quickly made various movements with his hand without feeling any sluggishness. Finally he discovered that even the scar that ran through his entire face had disappeared. It seems that these two originally indelible scars were inflicted when Crocodile was between the ages of 22 and 26. This is so magical, even Bentham and others who had experienced this scene were still shocked after seeing it. Good. So handsome. Ain stared blankly at Crocodile's delicate facial features, which looked like they were carved by a knife, and a blush appeared on her pretty face. Ah ha 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 ha, what a wonderful feeling. Crocodile finally couldn't help laughing out loud. Ha, now you really have become a real little devil, but aren't you happy? Too early you have regressed not only physically but also in your strength, kid. Seeing that Crocodile seemed a little too happy, Zephyr couldn't help but pour cold water on him. If that all, why should I be so excited? Crocodile still couldn't suppress the smile on his face. Watch this. Crocodile swung his fist wrapped in conqueror hockey and Ryo towards a big tree next to him. There was no change on the surface of the bark, but a huge wound appeared at the other end of the tree, and the wood inside was directly turned into powder. Then Crocodile poked the tree trunk lightly with his finger, and the tree made a whoosh sound and fell to the other side. How is this possible? Did you possess this power more than 20 years ago? Zephyr was so shocked that his sunglasses fell to the ground. I can't tell you that, Crocodile said mysteriously. So powerful? What kind of move is this? Can I learn it? Enel asked with stars in his eyes and a look of longing. This is a powerful move that combines two ways of using hockey. With your current level, you are still far from it. If you work hard on missions in the future, I can teach you. Crocodile patted Enel's shoulder and said, Okay, boss. What the next task? I will leave right away, Enel asked with high morale upon hearing that. What the rush? I haven't thought about it yet, Crocodile said unhappily. Mr. Crocodile, do you need to recover to your original state now? Ain asked awkwardly. Why do we need to recover? Isn't it good like this now? Crocodile raised the corner of his mouth slightly towards Ain. His handsome features and an evil smile made Ain brain freeze for a moment. Very, very good. It seems that there is really no need to recover, Ain said in a daze. You gave me such a big gift. If I don't give you a gift in return, it would seem that I am a bit stingy. Crocodile suddenly thought of this question. Ain carefully looked at Crocodile from head to toe again, but couldn't see where on him he could get a gift. Come here. Crocodile waved at her. After Ain came to him obediently, Crocodile put a hand on Ain's shoulder. Ain's body trembled slightly, and he raised his head to look at Crocodile in confusion, his face turning pink again. Then, she felt a surge of heat flowing into her body through the palm of the man in front of her. The hot and powerful impact made her so comfortable that she couldn't help but let out a moan. What going on with this strange feeling? It was only a dozen or so breaths before Crocodile took his hand away. But when he lowered his head to look at Ain again, the girl face was flushed, and even her eyes were a little blurry when she looked at him. Strange, I just enhanced her dual-color hockey physique and agility to a high level. Why is she like this? Did something happen in the strongest training camp? Crocodile frowned in confusion. He stretched out his hand and touched Ain's forehead, which was burning hot. Miss Ain, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? Crocodile asked with concern. Ain immediately let out a soft cry and took a few steps back like a frightened rabbit. I am fine, I feel comfortable. Then she covered her red face, looked at Crocodile deeply, turned around and ran away. What happening to her? Crocodile pointed in the direction where Ain disappeared and looked at the others in confusion. The men present looked at each other and shook their heads. Hey, she a pretty young girl, but she hangs out with ugly old guys like us all the time. It normal that I can't stand your handsome appearance when you were young today. After all, what girl doesn't have spring in her heart? After a moment of silence, Zephyr coughed twice and explained. Alabasta, I will go there, and I hope you can bring me some surprises. Zephyr said in a flat tone. You will definitely not be disappointed. I will wait and see. Then let's say goodbye here, Master Zephyr, Crocodile said with a chuckle. Good, see you later, Miss Ain, Crocodile said loudly to Ain, who was already standing at the bow of the warship. Will we meet again? Ain did not answer, but just looked at the tall figure in a trance and said to himself. Seeing that the other party didn't respond, Crocodile felt a little strange, but he didn't pay any more attention to it. Go to the original boat and take Lucky and the others back to recuperate. Don't cause any more trouble on the way, Crocodile instructed Jem and Beb. Clear, you two come with me to another place. Then he turned and said to Enel and Bentham. Okay, let go, Bentham shouted excitedly. Where is the destination, asked Enel. Crocodile took out a record pointer from his pocket and handed it over. 9 Snake Island. On the way here, Crocodile thought again and decided to give up Moonlight Moria. Compared to this pervert who only wants to play with corpses, the Empress and Big Bear are more worthy of his energy. The difficulty in conquering Hancock lies in the fact that he can't fall directly into the Empress bathroom like Luffy did, and then show his magnanimity in the arena, so that the Empress will let down her guard and reveal her thoughts. As for the Big Bear, he will appear in the Death Sails and the Sabati Archipelago in the near future. Crocodile is ready to meet him again when he appears for the second time, given Big Bear identity as a member of the Revolutionary Army. If he wants to use him for his own purposes, he also needs the consent of the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon. It would take at least 7 days to travel from their current location to 9 Snake Island if they sailed normally on the sea. Fortunately, there is Enel and his Ark Proverbs. When the ship is running at full capacity, it can even fly much faster than Crocodile after its elemental transformation. It only takes 1 to 2 days at most to arrive. According to Crocodile estimation, it will take about 4 to 5 days for the Straw Hat Pirates to enter the Death Sails and encounter Moria men until they leave. Next they will go to the Sabati Archipelago, stay there for 1 to 2 days, and then encounter a giant bear, and everyone will be swatted away. Luffy was sent to 9 Snake Island, and the journey took another 3 days. After staying on 9 Snake Island for a day, he learned that Ace would be executed in 6 days. In other words, there is still half a month left before the Battle of Maniford. Vivi, have you been doing well these days? Crocodile, who was resting in the cabin, called Vivi. You finally remembered me. Vivi's somewhat resentful voice came from the phone. Ha, isn't this too busy? Crocodile laughed. Why does your voice sound weird, as if you are a lot younger? Vivi asked puzzledly. Crocodile was stunned for a moment, then he remembered that he was now back to his 20s. And his voice had naturally changed. I had some unexpected events that caused some changes in my body, Crocodile explained. Are you hurt? Is it serious? Are you in any danger? Vivi asked with concern immediately after hearing that. Haha, don't worry, I am fine. It'll change that for the better. You will be shocked when you see me again. Crocodile chuckled and comforted him. I am glad you are okay, but I guess you didn't contact me just to chat with me, right? Vivi asked after breathing a sigh of relief. Announce to the outside world that I will resign from the position of Archon of the Kingdom of Alabasta and Kosa will take over. Also, the Baroque Tourism Development Company will be renamed Eden Group, and all ownership will be changed to your name. Crocodile took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. You really want to leave us? Vivi asked worriedly. No. Didn't I promise you I am doing this to protect you and Alabasta? Crocodile said. Then you must protect yourself, Vivi warned. Don't worry, it's very difficult to kill me, Crocodile said confidently. Want to see my panties? Enel. After hanging up the phone, Crocodile felt the cabin was a bit stuffy. As soon as he opened the door, he heard the voice of a strange woman. Then, a sexy beauty in a hot suspender skirt was seen twisting her seductive body seductively in front of Enel. Who would want to see a perverted body like yours, bastard? Enel yelled angrily. It goes without saying that this is another prank by Bentham. Zero-chan, if you want to see it, I won't refuse you. Seeing Crocodile coming out, Bentham immediately changed his target and started to flirt in front of Crocodile. Crocodile pursed his lips and said nothing, and even his eyebrows began to twitch as he tried so hard to endure it. How about it? Want to see it? The other party continued to press forward, pouting her red lips and throwing a wink at Crocodile. Be normal. Crocodile couldn't bear it anymore and swung his iron fist at Bentham. A big bump was visible on Bentham's head. Since everyone is so bored, I will teach you a new way to play poker, called pirate fighting. After a while, the three of them sat together, with a wine barrel in the middle and a stack of poker cards on top. On the morning of the third day, with his forehead still slightly swollen, Bentham knocked on Crocodile door early. "Zero-chan, I saw the 9-Snake Island." Crocodile stood up and came out, and sure enough, he saw a small island covered with dense forests below. "Come over, you two will wait for me in the sky." Men are not welcome there. On the coast of Gush Island, a team of 10 female soldiers were patrolling the shore in high spirits. "Angina, did you see yesterday a lady snake changed into a new dress again? It was so beautiful, really. What color? What a pity I had a stomachache yesterday and didn't go out, otherwise I would have definitely seen it." Several women chattered about the news about the Empress. "Strange, what is that? It doesn't look like a bird. How can it fly?" a female soldier suddenly said, pointing to the sky. The other people hurriedly looked over, and one of them even took out a telescope. "It seems to be flying towards us." "It too far away. I can't see clearly." "Hey!" the female soldier holding the telescope suddenly screamed. "What are you talking about? Tell me what you saw." "A man is flying toward us. Send a signal to the city quickly," the female soldier shouted in horror. Inside the 9-Snake Island Palace, "Go and see what making such a commotion." Empress Boa Hancock lifted up her long, white and tender legs, leaned on her pet snake Samaro, and asked the female official in the hall in a cold tone. Soon, the female official came back panting, "Sir Snake, an unidentified man broke into the island." "A man? Then just kill him," Hancock said casually, as if she was going to kill some ant or flea. "Yes, Sir." 9-Snake Island, beach. "Dear ladies, I have something important to discuss with your country Empress. Could you please let her know?" Crocodile slowly landed on the beach and said to a few female soldiers who were looking at him curiously, "Is this a man that should be it? This is the first time I have seen it, too. Why do I think he's so good looking? Are all men like this? He's so good looking, he can't be a bad guy, right, asshole? Stop arguing." "Have you all forgotten the ban of the Amazon Lily Kingdom? Men are absolutely not allowed to enter this country." One of the female soldiers suddenly shouted loudly and raised her bow and arrow at Crocodile. The others suddenly woke up and raised their weapons at Crocodile. "Man, I don't care what you have to do. Get out of here right now. If you dare to take another step forward, we will definitely shoot you immediately. Don't be nervous. I have something really important to tell the Empress. Just tell her that what I have to say is related to the Eye of Gorgon, and she will definitely meet me." Crocodile raised his hands to indicate that he meant no harm. Eye of the Gorgon. When they heard these words, they immediately looked at each other. "Don't even think about sneaking in with this excuse. Everyone in the Amazon Kingdom knows the story of the Eye of Gorgon." The female soldier pulled the bow harder on Crocodile. "This is really a headache. It seems that we can only use some rough means to get in." Crocodile put down his hand and said, "Kill him." The female soldier decided to strike first after hearing Crocodile words, and several arrows with whistling sounds immediately shot towards Crocodile. Crocodile tried to dodge quickly, but the bows and arrows of these Amazon warriors were all wrapped with domineering energy, and even he did not dare to be careless. "Since this place is called 9-Snake Island, I will use 9 snakes to clear the way for me." "Sorry for the offense," Crocodile said lightly. With a stomping of the foot, the beach beneath his feet immediately shook, making it impossible for the female soldiers to stand steadily. Immediately afterwards, 9 eyeless giant pythons made of sand suddenly emerged from the beach and pounced on several female soldiers. "Be careful, get out of the way, don't panic, cut with a knife, no, it's useless. They are not living things and have no sense of pain. Help, I am tangled." Faced with the sudden appearance of 9 huge monsters, several female soldiers showed good combat qualities. They drew out their knives and slashed at the sand pythons with their domineering aura. However, sand pythons are sand pythons after all, and even if their bodies are cut into pieces by a knife, it will not have any effect on them. Soon, except for the one person whom Crocodile deliberately let go to report the news, the rest were all subdued by the sand python and trapped in its body, with only their heads exposed, unable to move at all. "Men, let us go quickly. Otherwise Lady Snake will never let you off easily, one of the female soldiers threatened angrily. I will have to bear with you for a while. I will let you go when I see Boa Hancock. Crocodile chuckled. His handsome face and crocodile originally white eyes made him look very evil. 9 giant snakes, each several hundred meters long and requiring 2 people to hug together, were leading the way. 9 desperately struggling female soldiers were strung to the tail of one of the snakes. Crocodile was following behind with a relaxed look on his face. After entering the jungle and walking about a kilometer forward, hundreds of Amazon female warriors came running and attacked Crocodile. However, to the sand python, all their efforts were in vain. No matter how severe the damage is, the sand python can recover instantly. The female warriors were knocked down and entangled by sand pythons in groups. Just attack that man, defeat him, and these monsters will naturally disappear. At this time, an experienced female warrior reminded loudly. The warriors suddenly realized what was going on and bypassed the defense line formed by the sand pythons and attacked Crocodile. Not too stupid, but that all, Crocodile said with a chuckle, facing the female warriors who were attacking him. Crocodile first closed his eyes slightly, then glared at them fiercely. A breathtaking and majestic aura suddenly burst out from him, forming a strong air wave like a hurricane. All the female warriors in the jungle suddenly became like fallen leaves, some fell directly to the ground, and some collapsed on the spot. Only a few strong ones were still struggling to hold on. Such momentum at the domineering aura of the Overlord besides Lady Snake. This is the first time I have felt this kind of power from someone else. Hurry up and inform Lady Snake. We can't handle this kind of powerful enemy at all. The remaining people were shocked by Crocodile revealed strength and exclaimed loudly. Inside the palace of 9 Snake Island, Empress Hancock had just put down the hot tea in her hand gracefully, but suddenly her expression changed and she stood up abruptly. Who has this momentum? This person is definitely not an unknown person. Everyone, follow me immediately to meet the enemy. The Empress lifted the white cloak behind her, stretched out her long legs and walked out aggressively. I guess she will come to see me now. Crocodile sat leisurely on a branch with a cigar in his mouth. In the open space in front of him, hundreds of Amazon female warriors who had attacked him before were all entangled by his sand python and unable to move. Not long after, Crocodile, who was sitting on a tree branch, saw from afar a group of people and horses many times larger than the ones in front of him rushing towards him. The person in the lead clearly stood out from the crowd, with her hot and sexy body and outfit, plus a pair of dizzying long white legs. There are indeed few men in the world who can resist her. However, for Crocodile, who had seen all the beauties in the world on TikTok in his previous life and occasionally went to nightclubs and clubs to have close contact with all kinds of beautiful girls, he has become immune to beauties. Although the Empress is beautiful, she is not his type at all. He prefers a gentle and intellectual queen like Nico Robin. The Empress' sometimes willful and sometimes infatuated behavior and personality are indeed a little difficult for him to accept. Who are you? Why did you break into 9 Snake Island and attack our soldiers without any reason? What is your purpose? Boa Hancock stared at Crocodile with her beautiful deep blue eyes and asked in a cold tone. I am sorry, Boa Hancock, I have already politely asked them to tell you my intentions. Things have developed to this point. I can only protect myself helplessly. Crocodile lightly jumped down from the tree and pointed at the entangled female soldiers. Oh, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Crocodile. I believe you have heard of me, right? Crocodile said lightly. Crocodile, he is a man who is one of the 7 warlords of the sea together with Lady Snake. No wonder he could easily defeat so many Amazon warriors. What nonsense! As far as I know, Crocodile is over 40 years old. How can he look so young? Boa Hancock scolded coldly. For some special reason, I have become a little younger, but the identity of Crocodile is absolutely genuine. If you don't believe me, just look at it, Crocodile said as he formed a small tornado on his palm and showed it to Hancock. Is there anyone else in this world who can control sand except me? Even if you are one of the Shichibuke, Trespassing into our territory is a serious and unforgivable crime. Tell me your purpose immediately. I will send you off immediately after you finish." Boa Hancock's tone was still icy cold, and she didn't take Crocodile, who was at the same level as her, seriously at all. Her words were full of strong confidence. "I am here because of the Eye of Gorgon," Crocodile said with a straight face. "What did you say?" The three Boa sisters were shocked when they heard this, and Hancock's legs went weak and she almost fell down. The Eye of Gorgon is the most unspeakable secret of the three sisters. It is also the fear and shame that they can never erase in their lifetime. For this reason, they even made up a story to appease the people. She didn't expect that a man would suddenly break in from outside today and say that he came for the Eye of Gorgon. How could she not be shocked and scared if this extremely shameful secret were to be known by others? The three sisters would no longer be able to continue living on Nine Snake Island. "No, we can't let Crocodile live and continue speaking." Boa Hancock made an immediate decision in her heart. "This is ridiculous. How can I allow an outsider like you to interfere in the affairs of the Amazon Lily Kingdom, you decadent Ganfeng?" Hancock gritted her teeth and used a killing move on Crocodile as soon as they disagreed. She clenched her hands into a heart shape, and wisps of heart-shaped pink halo appeared in front of Crocodile in the blink of an eye. But Crocodile just stood there on his face, not showing any intention of dodging at all. Because his observation hockey had already foreseen that Hancock's ability had no effect on him, Hancock was delighted when she saw that the other party did not dodge, thinking that her sneak attack was successful. The next scene stunned her. Crocodile was not petrified. Sweet and sweet-wind Hancock, who didn't believe in evil, attacked again, but there was still no change. The opponent even took 2 puffs of his cigar leisurely. "How is this possible?" Hancock widened her beautiful eyes, unable to accept this cruel fact. This man was actually oblivious to her beauty. "Am I not beautiful enough? Why are you not attracted to me at all?" Hancock pointed her jade finger at Crocodile and said in a trembling voice. "Sorry, Hancock, you are not my type." Crocodile spread his hands helplessly. Hancock was suddenly struck by lightning. She took several steps back and fell into the arms of her sister Sonia. "Are you a man or not? How can anyone not like my sister who is so beautiful? You deserve to be damned for saying such rude things to the most beautiful woman in the world." Hancock's 2 younger sisters, Mary and Sonia, angrily spoke up for their sister. "Do you know how much harm such a sentence can cause to such a beautiful woman?" Hancock was hit by Crocodile's mental attack and said in a gloomy voice with her head down, This." Crocodile didn't expect that his casual words could have such great power. "It seems that the grudge today is set." Unforgivable Hancock raised her head and glared at Crocodile with resentment. Then she kicked the ground with her long legs and rushed towards Crocodile at an extremely fast speed. Fragrant kick. Hancock jumped up and kicked Crocodile hard in the head. Being kicked by the Empress' fragrant feet would turn one into stone. Seeing this, Crocodile did not dare to be careless at all and quickly used the armament color to harden his body to block it. It was just that when Hancock raised her legs and started to move, Crocodile seemed to see some beautiful sights under the skirt and the neckline of the top that he shouldn't have seen. Crocodile silently said, "Don't look at what is inappropriate," and quickly closed his eyes. "Such a beautiful woman has given me all these benefits for nothing. It would be a bit too unfair to beat her up," Crocodile thought while dodging. "Besides, Hancock is different from Enel. If we hit her too hard, it will only have the opposite effect. What should we do? It really a headache." "How dare you close your eyes when fighting against me? You really don't know how to live or die." Hancock became even more angry when she found Crocodile closing his eyes when their figures intertwined, and her attack with her legs became more fierce. Even though she is a woman, she is one of the best kicking experts in the world. Crocodile, who could only dodge, was a little clumsy for a while. "Oh, I almost forgot that I have a magical skill." Crocodile suddenly had an idea and felt confident. After dodging Hancock's deadly high sweep once again, Crocodile suddenly made a pistol gesture with his fingers and shouted at Hancock, "Slow Ray." Hancock had not done any damage to Crocodile yet, and she was already a little annoyed. Plus, Crocodile had not fought back, so she simply stopped thinking about defense. With the two of them being so close, even if the slow light was not fast, It was impossible to dodge it, and he was hit as expected. At this time, Hancock's leg was about to fall down after kicking Crocodile. After being hit by the slow ray, one leg was still raised high and was falling down. However, the falling speed was only reduced by 30 times. Now the Empress beauty was fully revealed, and her pretty face, which was unparalleled in the world, turned bright red because of extreme shame. What? Hancock spoke extremely slowly with a look of horror on her face. Asshole, what did you do to Lady Snake? Let go of Lady Snake, let me go, or I will tear you into pieces. The female soldiers around were afraid that Crocodile would hurt the Empress, so they did not dare to approach him and could only yell at him. It's okay for me to let her go, but you have to listen to me and stop using force. Okay, let her go immediately. We absolutely promise not to do anything to her, the women promised loudly. You can't fight anymore. Just say yes if you agree, Crocodile then said to Hancock. It was not until several seconds later that Hancock finally uttered the word okay. However, what they don't know is that this skill can only last for 30 seconds and will be automatically released when the time is up. Just 2 seconds after Hancock said the word okay, her condition immediately returned to normal. Unexpectedly, after the woman put down her legs, she turned around and made a heart shape with her hands to Crocodile. Infatuated with Ganfeng. Hey, Boa Hancock, you are the emperor of a country after all. How can you go back on your word? Crocodile said helplessly. I am already so beautiful, no matter what I do, I can be forgiven, right? Boa Hancock said as she lifted up her long black hair. But you, even when you saw my flawless body, didn't have any evil thoughts. Could it be that there is something wrong with you? Hancock pointed between Crocodile legs, threw her head back, and used her unprecedented king contempt. It's not up to you to decide whether there is a problem or not. It's normal not to have evil thoughts about a woman you are not interested in, right? Crocodile said indifferently in response to Hancock's sarcasm. You rude guy. Hancock was so angry that he almost bit his silver teeth off. Crocodile, this guy is very strong, and my fruit ability has no effect on him. He has been tolerating it before, but if we really start fighting, I am afraid I won't be his match. Never mind, let's just listen to what he has to say. Since you have something to say, then come with me and we will find a quiet place. Hancock glared at Crocodile with her beautiful eyes and turned to walk back. Sister, are you letting him go so easily? Yes, Lady Snake, it is a serious crime for a man to enter Nine Snake Island. Are you teaching me how to do things? Boa Hancock said coldly. When the people around her saw that she was angry, they immediately fell silent. But what Hancock was thinking was, if I could beat him, I would have killed him long ago, so there would be no time for you to talk nonsense. Inside the Nine Snake Island Palace, there were only 4 people in the palace at this time. In addition to Crocodile, only the 3 Boa sisters were present. Boa Hancock sat on her throne with her legs crossed, looking coldly at Crocodile, who was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the hall, leisurely drinking hot tea. Can you speak now? Boa Hancock said bluntly. The Eye of Gorgon was made up by you to deceive people, right? Crocodile said calmly. Where did you get this information? What else do you know? Boa Hancock's body trembled violently, and cold sweat kept flowing down her forehead. Not long ago, I rescued a man who claimed to have been liberated by Fisher Tiger and escaped from the Holy Land of Marijoa, and he has a mark on his body that only a slave of the celestial dragons would have, Crocodile said seriously. Then he waved his hand and a mark made of sand appeared on the ground. When Boa Hancock saw the mark, her whole body began to tremble. What does what you said have to do with us? Hancock turned her head away unconsciously and said in a trembling voice, not daring to look at the mark again. That man told me that there were 3 girls imprisoned next to him, and one of them had the same name as yours, Crocodile said in a deep voice. More than 10 years had passed since the incident, and Hancock racked his brains but could not recall who was imprisoned around him at the time. It would be fine if she didn't think about it, but when she thought about that place, Hancock couldn't help but recall the inhumane torture she had suffered there. She could no longer control her emotions. She bit her lips tightly, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. Crocodile felt a little distressed looking at her pretty and pitiful appearance. Hancock, the two sisters saw this and rushed to take pity on her. They hugged Hancock and comforted her carefully. "So you came here just to expose our scars, laugh at us and humiliate us?" Sonia shouted at Crocodile. "You misunderstood. I am here to help you," Crocodile said seriously. "Help us?" Hancock turned to look at Crocodile in surprise. "Yes, I can completely erase all traces of you." "Are you serious?" The three sisters immediately turned from sadness to joy when they heard this, and looked at Crocodile with longing on their faces. Crocodile can say this with such confidence because he discovered a devil fruit ability that he had never heard of before in the strongest training camp. This fruit is called the Cha-Cha fruit, and it can erase all traces that you want to erase. After the fruit is developed to a certain extent, it can even erase everything and make it disappear. Crocodile roughly calculated that if you wanted to buy all the abilities of this fruit, it would cost you more than 50 billion. Even the most basic ability he purchased cost 1 billion yuan, which shows that the talent training camp rating of this fruit was very high. If a person is erased by this ability, then all other people memories of this person, even the images and records preserved in life, will disappear together. It can simply be described as defying the will of heaven. However, such a powerful fruit has never appeared in the plot, and it already has many successfully developed skills and moves. Crocodile guessed that this fruit must have been obtained by someone before, but after the previous owner died, it might be hidden in a corner of this world, not discovered and eaten by others. Or there is another extremely terrifying possibility, that everyone who encounters this fruit is erased, and all information related to it no longer exists. It's chilling to think about it. "Why don't you try it?" And no, Crocodile said. "Then let me go first." Sister Mary was afraid of any accidents, so she volunteered to stand up. "Can you really do it?" Hancock was a little scared and a little expectant, and couldn't help but ask again in a low voice. "No problem." Crocodile gave her an affirmative look. Mary carefully took off her shirt and lay on the ground, closing her eyes tightly. Her whole body was trembling, and she didn't know whether she was afraid or excited. Crocodile looked at the bright red and somewhat glaring hoof print of the celestial dragon on her back and couldn't help but sigh. He closed his eyes and slowly stretched out his palm to cover it. "Erase." Crocodile uttered these two words, and his palm immediately became hot, with a thick white halo covering the edge of his palm. Then he slowly wiped Mary back. Wherever his palm passed, only Mary's smooth skin was left. The hoofprints of the celestial dragon that represented the shameful past of the three sisters disappeared little by little. "He can really do it." Hancock covered her mouth and cried with joy. In just a few breaths, the problem that had troubled them for more than 10 years was easily solved by the man in front of them. How could people not be happy? How could people not be joyful? Even when Hancock looked at Crocodile face, she felt that it was not as disgusting as before. Instead, the more she looked at it, the more she liked it. The more she looked at it, the more she felt that Crocodile was a pretty good-looking man. Next, Hancock asked Crocodile to erase Sonia Brand first. As an older sister, it was her duty to give in to her younger sister. Finally it was Hancock's turn. Before he could take off his clothes, Crocodile closed his eyes consciously. "Close your eyes." "Do you think my body is dirty and afraid of polluting your eyes?" Hancock said with some resentment, biting her lower lip lightly. "You worry too much." Not peeking at each other's bodies is the most basic respect for women, Crocodile said in a calm tone. "So he did this to respect me. Why do I suddenly feel happy?" Hancock thought silently. "Then please start," Hancock said. Crocodile wordlessly placed his palms on Hancock's smooth, white back. Unlike her two younger sisters, Hancock's skin is extremely delicate and elastic, like that of a young child. This extreme touch actually made Crocodile lose consciousness for a moment. "Why isn't he moving?" Hancock turned back slightly in confusion, a rare blush appearing on her face. Feeling the opponent movements, Crocodile finally reacted and quickly focused his mind and awakened his ability. "It's so hot." Hancock couldn't help but let out a cry as she felt the temperature of the big hand pressing tightly against her back suddenly rise. As Crocodile palm slowly slid, Hancock let out a seductive moan. Soon, The hoofprints of the celestial dragon on Hancock's back were also wiped off, and Crocodile withdrew his hand reluctantly. "It done," Crocodile whispered. "Hancock, no more. No one can easily know about our past," Mary said in a trembling voice. The three sisters hugged each other tightly and burst into tears. These three women had miserable lives. They fell into the clutches of the celestial dragons at a young age and were subjected to inhuman abuse. Crocodile couldn't help but sigh in his heart. After more than 10 minutes, the three sisters stopped crying and turned to face Crocodile. "I am sorry, Mr. Crocodile. I misunderstood you before and was very rude to you." Hancock bowed with red eyes and deep apology. "It okay, it human nature." Crocodile waved his hand magnanimously. "I don't know how to thank you for helping us without any grudges," Hancock said. Her pitiful expression and peerless beauty made Crocodile heart flutter. "No need to thank me. One of the reasons I came to Nine Snake Island is to erase the marks on your bodies. The other thing is to invite you to join me in fighting against the world government and overthrowing the brutal rule of the celestial dragons," Crocodile said seriously. "Overthrow the celestial dragons!" Hancock exclaimed in fear upon hearing Crocodile words. "This world has been tortured by the cancer of the celestial dragons for too long. It is time to wipe them out and restore order to all mankind." "Boy Hancock, are you willing to work with me to eliminate all these demons that have brought you shameful past?" Crocodile asked in a deep voice. "I object." At this moment, an old voice was heard. The palace door was pushed open, and a very short white-haired old lady rushed in. The guards at the door could not stop her. "I am against the Amazon Lily Kingdom being hostile to the world government," the old lady shouted. "Who let this old woman in? Someone throw her out." Hancock saw new Granny breaking in without permission, and immediately scolded with an unhappy face. "Wait a minute, Snake Princess. Listen to me. You must not believe this man lies and join the team against the celestial dragons. The Amazon Lily Kingdom can live a stable and prosperous life now, all thanks to your title of Shichibukai. If we lose our status as Shichibuchi, we will become just an ordinary pirate nation again. In the past, this place was protected by the Calm Belt. Now the Central has improved its shipbuilding technology, and their army can easily reach here. Once there is a conflict with them, Nine Snake Island will surely end up with devastating losses." Granny New advised in a hurried tone. "So what? Even if my impulse leads to the destruction of the country, everyone will forgive me. After all, I am so beautiful." Mother-in-law New dissuasion instead aroused Hancock's rebellious heart, and she spoke in a willful manner, flicking her hair. "What did you say? You can't joke about this kind of thing, Snake Princess. Many people will die." Even though Grandma knew that Hancock was willful, she never thought she could be so willful that she wouldn't care about the destruction of her country and her clan, so she hurriedly continued to remind her. "Do you think the peace on Nine Snake Island can last long? I didn't expect that you can still be so naive at your age." Crocodile sneered when he heard it. "The Navy has just captured Portgas d'Ace, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' 2nd Division, and is going to publicly execute him in order to provoke a huge battle with the 4 Emperors Whitebeard. After this battle, the entire world will enter a new era of chaos, and the Shichibukai system will also exit the stage of history. Whether or not Kujaka joins the team against the celestial dragons, he will be slain by the Navy." "What nonsense!" Granny New pointed her cane at Crocodile and cursed. "Crocodile, what are you thinking in bringing the war to the Amazon Lily Kingdom?" The old lady was so angry that her chest kept heaving. "Mr. Crocodile won't deceive me, right?" Hancock asked with her pink lips parted. "That natural," Crocodile replied seriously. Hancock blushed slightly at Crocodile's assurance. "Then I will join. This is the first time you met him today, right? How did you establish such unreserved trust?" Grandma New asked loudly with a look of shock on her face. "Ever since Mr. Crocodile did that to me," Hancock said awkwardly. "Hancock, it's easy for people to be misunderstood if you say that," Crocodile said helplessly. "This woman wouldn't fall in love with me so quickly. right? Hoda is not lying to me. Crocodile couldn't help but sweat drop on his forehead. It's normal for people to misunderstand me since I am so beautiful, Hancock said confidently, but you don't have to worry about being attacked by the Navy for now. I am still accumulating strength and won't let you openly confront the world government so soon. When I have enough strength to confront the world government, the position of Nine Snake Island will gradually emerge. And in the next war, I will demonstrate some power that will make the world government hesitate to act rashly and start a war again. Crocodile returned to the topic. As expected of Crocodile Kun, he's so charming when he planning a strategy. Hancock stared at Crocodile with dazed eyes, thinking happily. In a few days, the world government will launch a compulsory conscription of the 7 warlords of the sea, and order us to fight against the Whitebeard pirates together with the Navy. The Navy will send a special ship to pick you up, Crocodile told Hancock. I won't go. I hate the world government the most. Hancock crossed her arms and said proudly, no, you have to join, too. However, I have an extra plan that will make this war a little more interesting. Crocodile gave a meaningful smile, making him look even more evil. I will obey Mr. Crocodile, Hancock said to Crocodile affectionately. Oh my god, he has such a bad smile, but I like it very much. Hancock's mind was filled with Crocodile's smirking face. Have you been bewitched by him so quickly? Granny New pointed at Hancock and said angrily, Enel, have Bentham come to the palace of Nine Snake Island. By the way, let him come here in the same look I beat him up the other day. Crocodile suddenly began to mutter to himself, which confused the women present. In a few days, another man will come here unexpectedly. His name is Monkey D. Luffy, and the Fire Fist Ace who is about to be executed is his brother. Once Luffy learns that his brother will be executed, he will definitely go to Impel Down to rescue him. And I have a partner who has the ability to transform into someone else. When the time comes, I will make him look like you. Take the warship that comes to pick you up, send Monkey D. Luffy to Impel Down, and assist him in rescuing Fire Fist Ace. Crocodile idea to help Luffy wasn't a spur-of-the-moment idea. After he traveled through time, Crocodile, Bentham and Gardino, who were originally imprisoned in Impel Down and then performed brilliantly in the prison break, never entered there again. Even if Luffy is the child of destiny in the comics, without the help of these people, there is no guarantee that he can get out of Impel Down alive. Luffy's life is very important, and Crocodile must keep him alive. Now that Bentham has awakened, his fruit ability is incredible, and he can play the roles of Crocodile and Gardino respectively. Crocodile even suspected at one point that Bentham was also the child of destiny. The abnormal ability of the mimic fruit made him a little envious. Become me, how is that possible? Hancock exclaimed, covering her mouth. Soon, a hot and sexy beauty walked into the hall in high heels. Zero-chan, you made me like this again. Do you want to see my panties? Bentham said to Crocodile with a charming look on his face. Who would want to do something that perverted? Be serious. Crocodile cursed angrily. Mr. Crocodile, who is this woman? Hancock stood up suddenly, stared at Bentham with hostility and asked, Hancock, he the partner I was talking about. This guy is a real man. Crocodile saw the situation and hurriedly explained to prevent Bentham from being beaten by the Empress. Now everyone present lost their composure and exclaimed loudly, if a strange man appears on Nine Snake Island again, I am sure everyone will be troubled. I simply let him appear in the form of a woman to avoid any misunderstandings. That great. Hancock was visibly relieved after hearing this. However, if he turns into your appearance, he needs to touch your face. Is that okay? Crocodile asked politely. Since Lord Crocodile has said so, how can I refuse? Hancock agreed. Zero-chan, are you going to make me the most beautiful woman in the world? That really exciting. Bentham walked towards Hancock with excitement and said. Hancock closed her eyes, frowned tightly, and resistance was written all over her face. Bentham hurried over impatiently and touched her face. Are you done? Hancock asked impatiently. That enough, Bentham said and slapped himself on the face. When Hancock opened her eyes, She was stunned. Several others exclaimed again, "It actually exactly like me." Hancock stared blankly at the Hancock in front of her, who was exactly the same as herself, and said hesitantly, "Bentham, I plan to leave Nine Snake Island later. From today on, you will stay with Hancock and observe and learn her every word and action, so as not to reveal your true identity in front of the Navy. The Straw Hat Kid will be here in a few days. Then you will take him to Impel Down as Hancock, and then assist the Straw Hat Kid in rescuing Firefist Ace there." Crocodile instructed Bentham. "Hancock, wait until they leave on the warship, and then you will take your own ship directly to Marineford. If the Navy asks about Impel Down later, pretend you know nothing about it and tell them that you asked the warship to wait for you for 2 days, but the ship left before the time came." Crocodile turned around and instructed Hancock. "Okay." Hancock agreed. "It the Straw Hat Boy again. We have an inseparable bond with him." Bentham sighed. "That true," Crocodile said. "Mr. Crocodile, are you leaving Nine Snake Island so soon?" Hancock bit her lip lightly and asked casually. "Yes. I have some important people to meet and time is tight, so I can't stay longer," Crocodile answered seriously. "You must have come a long way. Why don't you eat something before you go?" Hancock said to Crocodile eagerly. "Okay." After she said that, Crocodile actually felt a little hungry. Hearing Crocodile say this, Hancock immediately shouted happily, "Quick, serve the best wine and food, I want to entertain Crocodile Conwell. Enel, you can come down if you want to eat something together." Crocodile muttered to himself again. Enel was on the Ark Proverbs, sweating profusely while lifting his oversized barbell. After hearing Crocodile invitation, he curled his lips and said, "There are only chattering women here, it's so noisy." Then he continued to perform his actions mechanically. Soon, the delicious fish and meat were served. Crocodile sat down and started eating without any hesitation. He ate very elegantly but very quickly. His stomach seemed like a bottomless pit and he cleared out plate after plate of food. "Mr. Crocodile, even the way you eat is so charming." Hancock admired Crocodile movements with some obsession. But then her mood suddenly became depressed again. She lowered her head, not knowing what she was thinking. She only raised her head from time to time to look at Crocodile. "Naval Headquarters, Marineford. Crocodile has just been working well for a few months. Why did he suddenly resign again?" Sengoku asked puzzledly while holding up the newspaper. "According to intelligence officers sent to Alabasta, Crocodile left Eden by ship a week ago." The senior executives of Baroque Works also disappeared one after another in the following days. The company to which Eden belongs has also been renamed Eden Group and is fully taken over by the Alabasta Princess, Neferta Urivivi, Vice Admiral Tsuru said in a deep voice. "At this critical moment, this dangerous element must not cause any more trouble," Sengoku said with some concern. "Has the location for executing Firefist Ace been determined?" "As long as Crocodile accepts the call-up, he won't be able to cause any trouble," asked Vice Admiral Tsuru. "The execution location, let me think about it. Let me think about it." Sengoku frowned deeply and said with a headache, "Sister, go back." "They have flown very far away," Sonia advised. "Oh, I feel so uncomfortable." Hancock looked at the Ark Proverbs, which had turned into a small black dot in the sky, and suddenly cried out, covering her forehead and falling over. "Snake Princess, adult Snake Lady, what wrong with you? Is Lady Snakehill? Your head is so hot, you have a fever." Seeing this, everyone hurriedly supported Hancock and spoke with concern. "Quickly send Lady Snake back to the palace and get a doctor inside the Nine Snake Island Palace." The doctor looked at Hancock, whose face was flushed and who was breathing rapidly, and was at a loss for what to do. Lady Snake has been covering her chest with her hands. "I guess there is something wrong with her heart." "No, it not a heart problem." At this time, Grandma Nu, who received the news, also hurried over and immediately asserted when she saw Hancock's current condition. Mother-in-law Nu, Will I die? Hancock asked weakly. He will die, Granny Nu said seriously. What nonsense are you talking about? Sonia shouted angrily. This is a terrible virus. The previous Amazon emperors died from it. Even I once suffered from this disease. I had no choice but to leave Nine Snake Island to survive. Grandma Niu became more and more frightened as she spoke, and her face and forehead were covered with sweat. What should we do? How can we cure? My sister Mary asked anxiously. It's very difficult to cure this disease, but it also easy. Grandma Nu kept the secret. Hurry up and tell me. Sonia couldn't help but urge. Bring me a copy of today's newspaper. Grandma Nu ordered the female soldier beside her. Why are you still reading the newspaper at this time? Mary asked angrily. HMPH. The medicine to cure Snake Queen is written in today's newspaper. Do you want to take it or not? Grandma Nu snorted coldly. What are you standing there for? Go quickly, Mary hurriedly urged the female soldier. A moment later, the female soldier ran in quickly and handed a newspaper to Grandma Nu. Then the old lady calmly turned the newspaper over and read the contents aloud. The Kingdom of Alabasta announced today that His Majesty the King, Crocodile, one of the Shichibuchi, who had served as the country governor for just a few months, has recently resigned from this important position. Crocodile, during his time as Archon, in Alabasta. Just after Grandma Nu read a few sentences, everyone immediately discovered something magical. Whenever Granny Newbie pronounced the word crocodile, Hancock's body would twitch involuntarily, accompanied by a cry of pain. Oh! It just as I expected, Grandma Nu said with a sigh. Mother Nu, what going on with Lady Snake? The doctor asked hurriedly. She had never heard of such a situation before. Snake, she fell in love and suffered from severe love sickness. Granny Nu pointed her cane at Hancock and said sharply. She fell in love with a man she shouldn't love. Crocodile! Everyone exclaimed in shock. Mrs. Nu, please don't stop. After hearing what was written in the newspaper, I feel much better, Hancock pleaded. Is there no other way except reading the newspaper? Do you want to keep reading in front of your sister? Mary asked puzzled. This is the only way to relieve her pain for now. The symptoms will gradually subside in a few days. But serious situations like the current one will occur from time to time. Unless, Granny Nu explained hesitantly. Unless what? Unless she can stay with that man for a long time and give birth to the fruit of their love. She can transfer her longing for this man to the child. Grandma Nu said in a deep voice. Eden, Casino Royale top floor office. It was already late at night, and on the desk that originally belonged to Crocodile, a beautiful girl with long light blue hair was bending over and writing furiously. It's so difficult. This stinky uncle just casually threw such a big mess to me, a little girl who is not even an adult. And I don't know where he went to have a good time. Vivi rubbed her aching temples and complained in a low voice. I don't know if he eats well, sleeps well, or if he got hurt in the fight. But then she looked at the inky black night sky with a worried look on her face and said, what you are going to do must be very dangerous. Right, it a pity that I am so useless that I can only help you with these unimportant things. You must protect yourself. Knock knock knock. Just then, there was a knock on the office door. Come in. After the door was opened, Sarah pushed it open and came in. Vivi, Gardino is here. Sarah's appearance had changed drastically at this time. Her original curly hair had disappeared, replaced by a neat dark blue ponytail. Her makeup was also simpler and more delicate, and she was wearing a dark gray professional suit. People who didn't know her would just think she was just an ordinary secretary with some looks. Crocodile now keeps her here specifically to keep Vivi safe. Sister Sarah, there's no need to be so polite when informing our own people in the future, Vivi said helplessly. A qualified agent must always maintain the rationality of the role he or she plays. Otherwise it will be easy for someone with ulterior motives to notice the abnormality, Sarah said seriously. Gardino, who looked exhausted, hid himself under his cloak. As soon as he entered the office, he took off his hood and sat down on the soft sofa. After hearing what Sarah had just said, Gardino agreed and said loudly, yes, you are right. Secret technique, pour me a large glass of Coke with more ice. Thank you. Then he changed the subject. Asshole. If you want to drink, Can't you just fall down yourself? Sarah pointed at Gardino's nose and shouted, "Isn't it reasonable for a secretary to pour a glass of Coke for a guest?" Gardino looked at Vivi weakly. Ha 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 ha. The conversation between the two made Vivi cover her mouth and laugh. "What kind of guest are you?" Sarah rolled her eyes in dissatisfaction. Having said that, Sarah finally brought Gardino a Coke. "I guess you must have some troubles to came to me, third brother." Vivi looked at Gardino with some worry. "The base over there is almost complete. Now we need to buy a lot of furniture and equipment. The boss is not here, so we have to find a solution, right?" Gardino said as he pulled out a thick stack of lists from his clothes and placed them on the desk. "Oh my god. There are so many things to buy. My plan to go to the hot spring for a massage tomorrow will be ruined." Vivi almost cried when she saw the items on the list. "Uncle, when will you come back? I am still a child." Vivi couldn't help but let out a cry in her heart. Arc Proverbs. "Is this the Sabati Archipelago? What a unique landscape," Enel asked curiously while biting a bright red apple. "Yes, there are 79 trees in total, and each tree is an island," Crocodile agreed. "Blue blue blue, blue blue blue." Crocodile was saying this when the Den Mushi started to ring. "Hello Crocodile, the 7 warlords of the sea. I am Admiral Sengoku. On behalf of the world government, I am summoning you. You must arrive at the Navy headquarters, Marineford, within 10 days. A serious voice of Sengoku came from the other end of the line. "Recruit the 7 warlords of the sea. What do you need us to do?" Crocodile asked in a pretentious manner. "The Navy is about to publicly execute the Whitebeard Pirates' 2nd Division Captain, Fire Fist Ace. The reason why we recruited the 7 warlords of the sea is to guard against the Whitebeard Pirates who might come to rescue us," Sengoku explained patiently. "It really a big event. That old fellow Edward Newgate is extremely powerful." "Can I refuse?" Crocodile said in a relaxed tone. "This conscription is compulsory. If you don't come, your status as a Shichibukai will be revoked immediately," Sengoku said in a cold tone. "That really troublesome." "I will go," Crocodile said with pretended helplessness. "The opportunity to fight the strongest people in front of the whole world is coming." "Enel, are you excited?" After hanging up the phone, Crocodile asked Enel on his face. "You mean, I can also participate in this war?" Enel looked at Crocodile with longing eyes. "It not just as simple as participating. After this world-renowned war, the name of the Thunder God will resound throughout the world." At this point, even Crocodile himself became excited. "Ha ha ha ha, hearing you say that, I really can't wait to start the fight." "You are so excited." Enel laughed with his head raised. Perhaps because of the excitement, electric flashes kept popping out of his body. "Speaking of which, help me find out if the Straw Hat Pirates are on this island. Maybe I can arrange for you to fight with a master soon." Crocodile chuckled at this guy's eagerness to fight. "These guys are really a bunch of troublemakers. They can cause trouble wherever they go." "They are fighting with a group of people downstairs," Enel said with some disgust. Fighting with a group of people? Crocodile thought carefully and thought that these people were not Navy or pirates, but bounty hunters on this island. "Let go. Let's join in the fun downstairs and take a look at the auction house to see if there are any interesting items besides slaves." "What about the ship? Should it be docked at the pier?" asked Enel. "This place is in great chaos. I am not afraid of losing the ship, but I am not sure about the gold." "How long can the electricity stored on the ship keep it suspended without use?" 6 hours at most. "There plenty of time." A moment later, the two of them appeared on island numbered 1 without anyone noticing. "Why do you dress like this? Wearing clothes makes me feel uncomfortable." Enel tugged at the cloak that covered him from head to toe and muttered in dissatisfaction. "With my identity, if I just show up here casually, I am afraid it will provoke some people's sensitive nerves and cause unnecessary waves." Crocodile explained. "The auction house you are looking for is over there," Enel said, pointing in a direction. Today auction should not have started yet, and many people are still entering the venue. There are pirates, nobles, businessmen, and even a few celestial dragons among them. "Those guys are so weird. Why are they wearing glass covers on their heads?" Enel asked curiously, pointing at the celestial dragons. "They are the legendary world nobles, the celestial dragons, A group of guys who call themselves gods. Even the air they breathe is nobler than ours, Crocodile said with a sneer. TSK. They are clearly just ordinary people, who gave them the courage to call themselves gods, Anil said with some disdain. It's not hard to understand why a group that can freely control the 3 admirals of the Navy can be called a god. Crocodile shook his head and said, "The 3 admirals of the Navy, I will let them know who the real god is," Anil said, gritting his teeth, obviously very dissatisfied with the title of god being used so casually. "Be patient for now. There will be plenty of opportunities to teach them a lesson in the future," Crocodile comforted Enel. The auction house was already packed at this time, and everyone was enthusiastically discussing today's auction items. At this moment, the auctioneer suddenly appeared on the stage. "Sorry to have kept you waiting for a long time. We will start the monthly routine number 1 GR human auction right away. However, there will be some small episodes today. Before the human auction begins, there will be 3 other types of items as warm-up auction items." "What are you doing?" "I am here to buy someone. We don't want to buy anything else." "Hurry up and bring the young girls up here. My wallet is thirsty." Some people expressed dissatisfaction. "Everyone, please be patient. Today 3 popular items will definitely make your trip worthwhile," the auctioneer said with cold sweat. "Then please take a look at our first lot today." The auctioneer lifted the red cloth covering the table, and a golden pistol with an ancient shape appeared in front of everyone. "What, it's just a golden pistol, isn't it? They won't think of us as uninitiated bastards, will they?" What a joke. This auction house is becoming more and more disappointing. The crowd suddenly started to clamor again. "Do you think this is just an ordinary gun?" The auctioneer held the pistol carefully in his hand and showed it to everyone. "Then you are totally wrong. To tell you the truth, this is a magical item that was ingested with a devil fruit. The power of the bullet fired from this gun can be completely controlled by the voice of the person holding the gun. You can choose different intensities from 1 to 1,000 times. It is a god-level choice for home travel, killing and self-defense. And the starting price of this gun will be 100 million Baileys," the auctioneer introduced loudly and passionately. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, the scene suddenly became lively. Compared with slaves, the rich and noble people present definitely value their own safety more. However, this terrifying starting price really discouraged many people. "What a powerful weapon! It can serve as a powerful partner." Kid stared at the gun with greedy eyes. "This gun seems to be a good match for Gem. Perhaps it can greatly increase his damage output." Crocodile was somewhat tempted by this gun. 200 million Baileys. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared and directly doubled the starting price of the gun. After this voice sounded, the whole place fell silent, because the person who spoke was none other than the celestial dragon princess. "Xyalulia, you are really rich, but you are going to be bought by these rubbish." Crocodile frowned slightly but did not fight for it. It not because he is afraid of the celestial dragons, he just doesn't want to steal the limelight that originally belonged to the Straw Hat Pirates. Those who had previously been eager to get their hands on this gun have now stopped doing so. "Is there anyone else who wants to bid?" "If no one continues to bid, then I will announce the final owner of this magical item," the auctioneer asked passionately. 200 million Baileys for the first time, 200 million Baileys for the second time, 200 million Baileys for the third time. Bang! The auctioneer brought down the hammer heavily. "Congratulations to our most distinguished guest, Her Majesty the Princess Xyalulia, for becoming the owner of this gun." "TSK, this is so boring. There is not even one person who dares to bid," Xyalulia Palace said with disdain. "Then, I will bring you the second auction item." The auctioneer lifted the red cloth covering a long brocade box, revealing the true appearance of the second item. "Yes, as you can see, the second item is a knife," the auctioneer shouted. "Isn't it some weird creature that ate a devil fruit again? It looks ordinary and the shape is very strange. This shape of sword is rare in the pirate world." Crocodile thought silently, because the appearance of this knife is very similar to the Damascus pattern scimitar that he had only seen in pictures in his previous life. It was the most popular weapon of the ancient Persians and was also recognized as the most famous sword in his previous life. The surface of this knife naturally has a pattern like water waves, and its shape has a very beautiful arc. The relatively wide and thick blade is very convenient for chopping. However, the blade of this knife exudes a faint yellow glow, and is engraved with countless fine patterns, which look more like a kind of text or runes. At this moment, the auctioneer suddenly took out a pair of gloves and put them on his hands. He carefully and solemnly picked up both ends of the knife and showed them to everyone. You may be curious why I wear a pair of gloves when I hold this knife. Because this is an evil blade with an ominous aura. If an ordinary person touches it, they will be sucked into a dried corpse. His name is Anubis, one of the 12 supreme swords. Only a truly powerful person can conquer it. When he finished speaking, the whole audience was in an uproar. Who would buy something like this? Haha, I don't even know how I died after I bought it. The ominous blade will bring bad luck to the wearer, right? The starting price for this knife is also 100 million Baileys. Bidding begins now, the auctioneer said loudly. But when he finished speaking, the whole audience was filled with chaotic discussions. Trafalgar Law looked at the knife on the stage, then looked at the gooey Kuang in his arms, and suddenly felt that his own sword was not so useful. After all, it was an extremely powerful sword. But they felt conflicted. After all, the auctioneer described the knife as being so extraordinary, and the price was more than enough for them to choose any powerful partner from the slaves. Anubis, the god of death in the desert, can also suck people into mummies. This is the ultimate sword. It seems like it was made just for me. It would be unreasonable if I didn't take action. 110 million Baileys, Crocodile shouted in a calm and emotionless voice. Is there really a fool who would make a bid? Haha, if you are not afraid of death, just buy it. I can't wait to see this guy get sucked dry. Father, you like famous swords so much. Don't you need to buy this one? Xiaolulia Palace asked Saint Rosward next to her. It would feel uncomfortable to put such a spooky thing in the palace, so let's just forget about it. Saint Rosward waved his hand and said, 200 million Baileys. I wonder who dares to snatch it from me. Saint Charles, who was sitting aside with a big snot hanging from his nose, suddenly shouted. Noticing that it was him who was speaking, the voice that was mocking the person who made the bid just now suddenly disappeared. Brother Wang, why did you buy this kind of thing? It's very dangerous. Xiaolulia asked in a slightly reproachful tone. I want to see if the slaves will be sucked into mummies after taking it. St. Charles said with a stupid look on his face. Forget it. Let him be. It's not like your brother is holding it in his own hands. St. Rosward looked at St. Charles lovingly and said, you really don't know how to live or die. Crocodile said, a little annoyed. Why are you suddenly interested in a knife? You are not a swordsman, Enel asked curiously. It's rare that I come across something I like, so I want to buy it. Besides, as long as I want to learn swordsmanship, it's not difficult to become the world best swordsman, Crocodile said casually. After hearing this, Enel fell silent immediately. There was really no point in continuing the conversation that day. If you want it, I will get it for you. After a moment, Enel said again, no rush. Let's see if there are any good things in the back. Wait until the celestial dragons are beaten up, then we will take them all away. Crocodile shook his head and said, the buyer sitting next to the two men, listening to their seemingly casual conversation, had already been in turmoil. Listen to what these two people are saying. Are they human language? What do you mean it's not difficult to become the world best swordsman? What do you mean you want me to get it for you? What do you mean the celestial dragon master got beaten up? Who in this world has the guts to beat up a celestial dragon? The buyer wanted to refute what the two said several times, but seeing that they were hiding in cloaks, it was obvious that they didn't want people to see their true faces. Maybe they were some vicious criminals, so he gave up the idea in the end. The last item to be auctioned is a milky white pineapple-shaped devil fruit. According to the auctioneer, this devil fruit has never appeared in any known devil fruit encyclopedia, so buying it is just like opening a blind box, and Crocodile is not very interested in it. Anyway, when the auction is over, Crocodile will take all these items away. The fruit can be used to select one person from among the mid-level agents who have performed well recently as a reward. In the end, the fruit was still obtained by that idiot-looking St. Charles, and the reason was still to buy it for the slaves to eat. After these 3 items warmed up the market in advance, today population auction also kicked off. The host Disco, who had a weird look and exaggerated movements, came to the front stage and took over the auctioneer. They began to auction groups of slaves locked with explosive collars to the buyers present. Soon we arrived at the finale of the night, the Mermaid Kimmy. St. Charlos once again successfully won the Mermaid Girl for 500 million berries. Just as Disco shouted and the hammer of deal fell, Luffy and Zoro broke through the wall and rushed in. As expected, Luffy swung his angry fist at St. Charlos, and the scene suddenly became chaotic. Unlike other people at the scene who were horrified, Crocodile laughed out loud when he saw this scene. "What's so funny about this?" Enel asked in confusion. "Ha ha ha ha, I was thinking that the Straw Hat Boy is really the nemesis of you gods. He beats anyone he sees." Crocodile continued to laugh. "Stop comparing me to these trash," Enel shouted at Crocodile in dissatisfaction. "Sorry, it was just a joke. Ha 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 ha." Enel couldn't do anything with Crocodile and could only cross his arms with an unhappy look on his face. At this moment, Pluto Rayleigh appeared from the backstage and saved the Mermaid Kimmy, who was about to be shot by Charlie Palace. Then he used the Conqueror Hockey to wipe out all the miscellaneous soldiers in the field. Crocodile Domineering Color was unconsciously activated, and he had a momentary confrontation with Rayleigh. "This momentum is even stronger than yours," Enel said in a serious tone. "You must be kidding. This old man is the vice captain of Roger Pirate Group." Crocodile said calmly. "He's still this strong at such an age. I really want to have a fight with young Roger and his gang." After a period of understanding, this guy also had a certain understanding of the strong men from all sides under the White Sea. "Are you pirates here for sightseeing? You seem to be no unknown person since you were unscathed by my attack just now." At this time, the rest of the people in the field fainted or fled, leaving only the Straw Hat Pirates, the Heart Pirates, the Kid Pirates, and Crocodile. Rayleigh noticed that those who dared to stay here were all very powerful, so he asked, "I didn't expect to meet such a great man here." "The Pluto, Silver Boss Rayleigh," Kid said while looking at Rayleigh excitedly. "Everyone on the island calls me General Oldley. If they call me by my real name and the Navy finds out, I will be finished. I am old now and just want to live a peaceful life," Rayleigh reminded Kid in a calm tone. Just as he passed by Crocodile and the other man, he suddenly stopped and looked at them, as if he had discovered something. "Young people nowadays are really scary and outrageous," Rayleigh said seriously. "The old and powerful man is indeed worthy of his reputation." Crocodile did not look up, but responded. Rayleigh didn't say anything else and walked straight towards the injured Xiaoba to check on his injuries. "Could these 2 suspicious guys be big shots?" Luo said cautiously. "To be recognized by Pluto, these 2 people must be extraordinary." Kid expression was also a little solemn. "Those things are still there, right? Once we get them, let leave here." Crocodile whispered to Enel. "Don't worry, I am always watching." After Enel said this, there was a flash of lightning in the hall and the whole person disappeared from his seat in an instant. "So fast I can't even see his movements." A drop of cold sweat fell on Kid's forehead. "Is this the ability to teleport?" Bippo asked Luo in doubt. "No, this is lightning, and the user has lightning speed," Luo said in a deep voice. "Why is this guy here?" The cigarette in Sanji's mouth fell to the ground. "This kind of lightning, could it be him?" Usopp said with some horror. Enel Nami pupils constricted, and she said in a trembling voice as she recalled the fear of being dominated by that man. "Enel, why have I never heard of this name?" Kid frowned. "If the person just now was Enel, then the person sitting here must be," Zoro said in a deep voice, placing his hand on the hilt of the sword. Crocodile Nami and Usopp screamed and hugged each other. "How is this possible? Why would the 7 warlords of the sea come here for no reason?" Kid and Logang were shocked when they heard the conversation in front of them. Crocodile knew that it would be pointless to pretend any longer, so he lifted his hood and gave the Straw Hat Pirates a smile that he thought was kind. "I wanted to come quietly and leave quietly, but I didn't expect you to see me." "Who are you?" Luffy tilted his head and looked at Crocodile with a confused look on his face. Crocodile then remembered that he now looked very different, and this idiot was indeed hard to recognize. "Oh, I get it. You must have had plastic surgery, right?" Usopp said as a matter of course. "Where did you get it done? The results are so good, right? Is it expensive?" "I want it to." Nami agreed with what Usopp said and asked Crocodile excitedly, completely forgetting her fear. "I didn't have any plastic surgery. I just became younger. It caused by the ability of the fruit." Crocodile explained helplessly. "Really? That amazing." Luffy eyes immediately sparkled with stars. At this moment, there was a flash of lightning, and Enel appeared in front of him again, holding a package in his hand. "It all here." Enel patted the package and said, then pointed at Crocodile, untied hood and hesitated to say, "By the way, how did you?" "There nothing we can do, it because you are too flamboyant that they figured it out." Crocodile spread his hands. "That great. I am really fed up with this feeling of being covered up so tightly." Enel tore off his cloak while speaking. "Finally I feel comfortable." Enel stretched his body and said to himself, "Haha, this guy looks so funny, with such long earlobes." At this moment, someone next to Kid suddenly couldn't help laughing. How dare he say such things to the god of death?" Usopp said in horror, covering his face. Upon hearing this, the Straw Hat Pirates began to observe a moment of silence for that man. Enel suddenly turned his head to look at the man, his expression darkening. "Is it okay to kill him?" Enel asked Crocodile in an icy voice. "Asshole. What did you say? Can you kill my people just because you want?" Kid got furious when he heard that. The entire Kid Pirates were on high alert. Enel ignored him and just looked at Crocodile quietly. "Whatever you want." Crocodile opened his lips and sentenced the man to death. Just as he finished speaking, a dazzling lightning as thick as a bowl flashed across Enel's fingertips. Immediately afterwards, the wall behind Kid and the others exploded violently, and a corner of the house collapsed. No one present, except Rayleigh and Crocodile, could react. The man who had just been laughing at Enel felt that he was having difficulty breathing, and there was a numb feeling in his chest like an electric shock, so he quickly looked down. However, he saw a transparent hole with charred edges on his chest. "Ha ha 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 ha, save me, old Kid." Before he could finish his words, his vision went dark and he fell forward. When Red Heart and Kid Gang saw the hole in the man's chest, they were all shocked, with fear written on their faces. _hit How dare you kill my companions so casually? Kid roared with bloodshot eyes. "This is what he deserves for speaking rudely to a god," Enel said indifferently. "What a bullshit god, I will tear you into pieces." Kid roared in despair and was about to rush up to fight with Enel, but was held tightly by Killer and the people around him. "Boss Kid, hold on, there is also the 7 warlords." Crocodile beside him, "and the Admiral of the Navy is coming soon. We must evacuate immediately, otherwise everyone will die here. Let me go and let me kill him." Kid struggled frantically. "It seems that you want to die too, so I will help you," Enel said in a deep voice. "Come on. Do you think I am afraid of you?" Kid shook off the people who were hugging him and stretched out his right hand. A powerful magnetic force radiated from his palm. The navy that was still besieging outside the auction house, their weapons broke free from their control and flew in through the gate. Even the cannons mounted on the ground were not spared. A giant mechanical arm composed of various weapons was formed in just a few breaths. "Go to hell!" Kid waved his giant mechanical arm and rushed towards Enel with a roar. "Just magnetism, it child play." Enel smiled contemptuously. "Today I will let you know how powerless you are in front of the superior fruit." He also raised his right hand towards Kid, and countless dense electric nets instantly burst out from his hand and shot towards the giant mechanical arm controlled by Kid. "How is this possible?" Kid's face suddenly changed. He felt that he had lost control of the giant mechanical arm in an instant. All the weapons that made up that arm flew towards Enel and then reformed in his hands. "What is going on?" Kid asked in despair. "You probably don't know that natural magnetism is like the difference between a king and a beggar in front of electromagnetic force," Enel said expressionlessly. "Come to think of it, you are just like a beggar, with such shabby abilities." Enel waved his giant arm with some disgust. Then he uttered 3 words: "Thunder Sword." The arm, composed of countless swords, spears, halberds and cannons, suddenly began to flash with lightning and began to melt and deform. In the blink of an eye, It turned into a giant metal arm that was as round as a new one. "This is much better," Enel said calmly as he waved his giant arms a few more times. "It's still garbage though." Then he threw the giant arm to the ground with a loud bang. When Kid saw this scene, his pupils dilated and he felt extremely desperate. The powerful ability he had been relying on since he went to sea was so weak in front of the man in front of him that it would not be an exaggeration to say that it was worthless. This caused his confidence to begin to collapse, and his entire brain was in chaos. "The popular science lesson is over. You can rest in peace now." 30 million volts. Thunderbird Enel indifferently hit the drum behind him with his scepter, and a giant bird made entirely of lightning took shape above his head. The blinding electric light made it impossible for anyone to open their eyes. "Boss Kid, run Kid, what wrong with you? Move Boss Kid, you are going to be the Pirate King. How can you die here?" All the members of the Kid Pirates screamed in unison, trying to wake up their captain. However, Kid, whose heart was severely traumatized, could no longer control his body. He could only tremble in despair, watching the man with long earlobes not far away swinging the golden scepter in his hand at him. Is this the end? This was the only thought in Kid mind at his moment. The Thunderbird spread its huge wings and rushed towards him like lightning. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Kid, and with a wave of his hand, the Thunderbird shot by Enel changed its direction. After smashing through a wall, a violent explosion occurred outside the auction house. Screams were heard outside immediately. "This young man is really vicious. Let's show some mercy. Can you please give me some face and let him go today?" The person who rescued Kid was Pluto Rayleigh. Enel was a little afraid of the old man in front of him, but he didn't get angry for a while. "He doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. As a fellow pirate, I just don't want to see these newly grown shoots being picked so early. After all, their era has just begun," Rayleigh said with some emotion. Enel looked at Crocodile. If he got the boss approval, he would go up and touch him even if he was the vice captain of One Piece. Crocodile had just been watching the conflict between Enel and Kid Gang with a cold eye. He was also happy to see Kid fall into a desperate situation. After all, this kind of despair experience card cannot be enjoyed by the Straw Hat Pirates alone. If Kid can recover from the blow he suffered today, his strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. If he can't get through this hurdle, this potential supernova will be wasted. "Alright, Enel, let go." Crocodile chuckled and said, "Everyone, you are on your own today." But when Crocodile passed by Luffy, he stopped for some reason, whispered something to Luffy, and then left. Luffy scratched his head in confusion and watched his former enemy slowly walk out of the auction house. "Luffy, what did that guy say to you just now?" Usopp came over and asked. "Crocodile behavior is getting more and more strange now," Nami thought with her chin in her hand. "Don't you realize that he doesn't seem to have any hostility towards us now and last time on the Judicial Island? If it weren't for Enel Lightning to clear the way, it would have been difficult for us to leave." This is definitely related to the defeat of Crocodile. Sanji lit a cigarette and analyzed calmly. "Why didn't you say anything when I was almost electrocuted by that guy with long earlobes?" Zoro retorted dissatisfiedly. Usopp rushed over with a horrified look on his face and covered Zoro's mouth. "Don't talk nonsense. Have you forgotten that he has a mind net? He can hear what we say even from a long distance." "Is there a possibility that Vivi asked Crocodile to help us? I saw in the newspaper the other day that Vivi had just taken over Crocodile Company and was managing a super luxurious city. She a wealthy woman now?" Nami's eyes were filled with Bailey when she thought of this. "Really that amazing?" Usopp exclaimed sincerely. "As a strong woman in the business world, Vivi must be even more beautiful and charming." Sanji twisted his body with a crazy look on his face. "Luffy, you haven't answered yet." "What did Crocodile just say to you?" Zoro asked with a frown. "That guy said, Straw Hat Boy, no matter how much suffering and setbacks you experience in the future, you must live strong. I am very optimistic about you becoming the Pirate King. You seem to attach great importance to the Straw Hat Boy." Enel sighed. The two men walked out of the auction house door at a leisurely pace, with Enel slightly behind Crocodile by half a body length. At this time, The gate of the auction house was surrounded by the Navy. Seeing the two people come out, everyone was on high alert and acted very cautiously. The D family is the nemesis of those idiots. It's always a good idea to give them more help and attention, Crocodile explained calmly. The Navy in front of him seemed like air to him, and he continued to walk slowly forward. Stop. What is your relationship with the pirates inside? A naval officer pointed a knife at the two men and shouted, Sir, please don't slander the good guys. We have nothing to do with those bad guys. We even helped you kill one of them. Crocodile hid his face in the hood and said as he walked, I said stop, don't you understand? The officer shouted angrily. At this time, a pacifist walked towards this side with heavy steps. What is this thing? It doesn't look human and a eyes narrowed. A very powerful man-made killing machine. Crocodile looked up and down at the humanoid machine in front of him with some curiosity. Those who don't know the inside story can't tell that this is a machine. At first glance, it looks like a flesh and blood person. Vegapunk is simply a bug-level existence. This bionic technology is even more than 100 years ahead of Earth. It's a pity that we don't know where Eggpoint Island is, otherwise we could kidnap this old man. Seraph, the third generation of pacifists. These powerful weapons are really tempting. We have to send a group of agents to the New World to find the whereabouts of this old man. Crocodile couldn't help but sigh. After the pacifist approached, it activated its facial recognition system and scanned the two people repeatedly, but the result was unknown. No criminal record. You can be released. A soft male voice came out of the pacifist mouth. Hey, pacifist. Take a closer look. I suspect they are definitely related to the attack on the world nobles. The naval officer questioned. It is suspected that he is Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. The similarity of his facial features is 90%. Pacifism spoke again. Crocodile, why are you here? The naval officer shouted in surprise. This thing is really good. It can be recognized like this. Crocodile pulled off his hat helplessly. Of course we come to the auction house to buy things. What your problem? Crocodile glanced at the other party and said indifferently, no more. You can leave. The naval officer, sweating profusely, hurriedly let them go, thinking that it would be better to wait for the general to come and let them worry about these difficult people. All the pirates who committed crimes and beat up the celestial dragons are in there. Don't let them escape, Crocodile said with a slight smile on his face. Let go. Crocodile turned to Enel and said, only to find that the guy was standing in front of the pacifist, and with a look of curiosity, he slowly poked his index finger with electric sparks towards the other party. Crocodile was about to open his mouth to stop him when he saw a flash of lightning already sinking into pacifism body. Zzz, a chaotic electric sound suddenly came from the pacifist body. Then, the limbs and facial features of this pacifist numbered PX6 began to twist unconsciously. You have so much free hands, Crocodile said to Enel speechlessly. Hey, what did you do to the pacifists? The naval officer asked in horror. What garbage, it breaks just by touching it lightly, Enel said with some disdain. At this time, PX6 body twisted even more violently, like a person having an epileptic seizure dancing. The machine must have short-circuited. The person who made it should be able to fix it easily, right? Crocodile pursed his lips and said, let go. Crocodile signaled to Enel and led the way. Enel followed behind him without saying a word, and from his expression it was clear that he was a little embarrassed. A machine that costs more than a battleship broke down before it even fired a shot. How am I supposed to explain this to the scientific corps? The naval colonel said in despair, pulling his hair. Before long, this pacifist began to randomly shoot lasers from his hands and mouth. The enormous power instantly turned the surroundings into a sea of fire. All the navy nearby began to flee in panic. What are we going to do next? asked Enel after a long silence. Let's find a place to eat nearby first. Maybe something else will happen later, Crocodile said after taking a look at the chaotic scene. Under Enel guidance, the two found a relatively quiet restaurant, ordered a table of food and started to feast. The food here is so much worse than in Eden, Enel complained. The only thing that okay is this steak. Crocodile nodded in agreement. A strong aura has appeared on the island. Enel suddenly stopped eating, raised his head and said solemnly, "The Admiral is here," Crocodile said without looking up. "Is there anything special about him?" "Very fast," said Enel. "That must be Kizaru? The Flash Man who ate the Flash Fruit? The fastest man in the world," Crocodile said with certainty. "I want to fight him." Enel stood up suddenly, bursting with a strong fighting spirit. "Okay, I am going to meet someone near the Straw Hat Pirates later. Kizaru will also come to chase the Straw Hat Pirates. You lead him to some other place and beat him however you want." Crocodile put down the knife and fork in his hand and said, "I can't wait to compete with him to see who is the fastest man." Enel said excitedly, "There's no need to fight for this title, right?" Crocodile said with a twitch of his lips. "Why not? We have to decide which is faster, light or electricity," Enel shouted. "As long as you are happy," Crocodile said with a sigh. "Look where the Straw Hat Boy is. Let go over there." "It not far away." "It fighting with robots like those just now." Enel stretched out his hand and pointed to the northwest. 12 size GR. After going through a lot of hardships, the Straw Hat Pirates finally defeated a pacifist numbered PX4. Before they could catch their breath, Sentomaru brought another pacifist and started a new round of pursuit of them. "You are so miserable that you can't even beat such a broken toy," Enel, who was standing on the branch with Crocodile, said with disdain. "This thing is used to hunt pirates with bounties of over 100 million. It not as weak as you say." Crocodile shook his head and said, "TSK, you were fearless when facing me, but now you know how to run away." Enel felt very depressed. "Ha ha ha. That because you weren't strong enough to make them despair." Crocodile couldn't help laughing. "Just like that creepy old man," Enel said, looking at the scene 100 meters away. While the two were talking, Zoro had already been stepped on by Kizaru, and the other foot that was perched above Zoro's body also flashed a dazzling yellow light. No matter how Usopp and Brook attacked, they could not cause any damage to the Admiral. The Straw Hat Pirates wanted to rescue them but were helpless and could only scream in despair at the top of their lungs. "Take action, otherwise your opponent will be snatched away by that old man." Kizaru was reluctant to attack Zoro, as if he was waiting for someone, or he was really holding back. The two also discovered a figure rushing towards them from a distance, and that person was clearly Rayleigh. So Crocodile whispered to Enel, "Ha ha ha, that exactly what I meant." Enel laughed excitedly, and then disappeared in front of Crocodile in an instant, turning into a blue stream of light and shooting towards Kizaru. At this time, Nico Robin had just carried the seriously injured and immobile Zoro away from Kizaru's hands, but unexpectedly, after moving just a few dozen meters, Kizaru appeared again and stepped on Zoro. "It useless. I will kill him right now," Kizaru said slowly, and his foot with yellow laser was about to step down. Seeing that Zoro was about to die, the Straw Hat Pirates were so frightened that their hearts almost stopped beating. A figure wrapped in blue lightning knocked Kizaru away in the blink of an eye, and he hit the tree trunk dozens of meters away heavily. Enel Luffy couldn't believe the scene in front of him. Usopp looked up at the man in front of him who looked like a god. His brain froze immediately and all he could make was a ho 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 sound from his throat. "Is he here?" Nico Robin turned her head excitedly, searching for something. "Who is this guy? This is the first time I see someone who can attack the old man body." Sentomaru broke out in cold sweat when he saw the scene in front of him. "Who are you? You have such terrifying strength." Kizaru slowly got up and asked in some confusion. He really couldn't understand where such a powerful man suddenly appeared from. "Thor Enel, from today on, you will remember this name," Enel said with a proud expression. "The Straw Hat Pirates attacked the Celestial Dragons and have now committed a capital crime. If you saved them, your crime would be equally serious." Kizaru said calmly. "What a joke. I don't care about their life or death. I just want to have a good fight with you." Enel sneered. "So that how it is? Another fighting maniac. What a headache." Kizaru said expressionlessly, but he was already on high alert towards Enel in his heart. He didn't even react to the attack just now. He was used to kicking people at the speed of light, but this was the first time in his life that he was hit by an attack of the same speed. "I remember now, you took action in Alabasta. and the lightning over the judicial island was also set off by you, right?" Kizaru suddenly remembered something unsaid with some surprise. "So much nonsense." Enel hit the taco behind him impatiently. A huge blue thunder dragon took shape in the blink of an eye and shot towards Kizaru. So scary. Although Kizaru said it was scary, there was no fear on his face. He raised his hand and faced a laser as thick as a bucket. The moment the two terrifying energies came into contact, a violent reaction occurred, causing a loud bang and an explosion. Fortunately, Usopp and others secretly stole Zoro away while the two were talking, otherwise the aftermath of the explosion alone would have cost them their lives. Rayleigh, who was rushing over, stopped immediately when he saw Kizaru being knocked away, and was completely confused as to what was going on. "This guy with long earlobes is really bold. Others would try to hide when they see the general, but he dares to take the initiative to attack," Rayleigh thought, stroking his beard. Luffy and his companions not far away escaped from Kizaru clutches, but were now being chased by Sentomaru and the pacifists. Rayleigh sighed after seeing this. "Since someone is blocking the general, I will help these little devils again." However, just as Rayleigh was about to move, a huge black shadow appeared in front of him as if teleporting. "Pluto, Rayleigh, you don't have to worry about what happens next." A gentle male voice came out of that person's mouth, which was extremely inconsistent with his body shape. The smoke from the explosion caused by Enel and Kizaru gradually dissipated, and the figures of both parties became clear again. "It really looks like a monster," Kizaru exclaimed slowly. After this test, Enel also knew that this kind of long-range attack could not cause any damage to the opponent. After all, when combat power reaches their level, especially for those with natural abilities, fruit is no longer the key to determining victory or defeat. Thunder metal. Enel palm full of lightning passed over the golden scepter, and the scepter turned into a golden trident. "It just the beginning." Enel sneered and wrapped his domineering aura around the trident. "Show some of your real skills, Kizaru, and don't humiliate the reputation of the Admiral of the Navy." "You don't care even if you are killed, then I will grant your wish." There was a coldness in Kizaru's slow tone, and the sword Dame Morisakabara slowly took shape in his hand. "I am also looking forward to seeing the faces of the Marines when they lose an admiral." Enel grinned silently. As soon as the words fell, two flashing figures, one blue and one yellow, began to fight. The sword of Aim no Kurosaki and the trident of Thor collided violently at a speed that ordinary people could not even see. In the past, Kizaru has always focused on developing the ability of his fruit, but his own strength is actually not top-notch. Enel was the same in the past, but after being strengthened by Crocodile and with his own unremitting efforts, his strength has made a qualitative leap. He is now evenly matched with Kizaru, the world-famous Admiral of the Navy. At the beginning, you could hear the ding-ding-ding sound of the two weapons colliding. As time went on, the sound became so dense that it became continuous. The yellow and blue figures in the sky kept crossing each other at a high speed, and one of them would be knocked away from time to time. Then they will attack the opponent again at a faster speed. People around who were still observing the situation on the island could only see two rays of light, one blue and one yellow, dancing in a disorderly manner. This is not only a duel between two extreme speeds, but also a battle that combines the comprehensive abilities of dual-color domineering, strength, physical skills, swordsmanship, combat intelligence and reaction speed. If one is not careful, one of them will be seriously injured by the other. What a breathtaking battle. They are indeed the two fastest men in the world. If I didn't have the ability to foresee the future, I would have a headache fighting them both right now. Crocodile, who had been standing on a high branch and watching coldly, couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Crocodile then turned his attention to the Straw Hat Pirates who were still being chased by Sentomaru and the pacifists. It was unknown what Kuma said to Rayleigh that made the old man give up helping the Straw Hat Pirates and leave. "If you were asked to travel, where would you go?" Bartholomew Kuma, holding a book in his arms, slowly took off his gloves and asked Zoro, who was seriously injured and could only lie on the ground. The battle between Enel and Kizaru has entered a white-hot stage. The two are now really angry, and every move is aimed at taking the other life. However, Kizaru has fought countless battles in his life, and his combat experience and on-the-spot reaction are not comparable to Enel. After another fierce collision between the two, Kizaru suddenly hit Enel with a light speed kick, kicking him away, and he fell heavily to the ground, directly creating a big hole in the ground. At this time, Kizaru was a little out of breath, and his clothes were tattered. The majestic image of a Navy admiral was completely gone. "You are Crocodile's subordinate, right?" Kizaru asked seriously. Enel sat up from the pit and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His current condition was much worse than Kizaru. There were several hideous sword marks on his chest and back. However, he is no longer the glass cannon he used to be. His physique has been strengthened by Crocodile, and although he is not as strong as a real monster like Kaido and Big Mom, he is also extremely strong. Although the injuries looked serious, they actually did not cause any substantial harm to him. "What does it matter whose subordinates they are? This is a battle between you and me." Enel was obviously not convinced by the general in front of him. He stood up and said in a cold tone, "It is no small matter that the 7 warlords of the sea openly sent people to attack the admirals of the navy." Kizaru said slowly with a frown, "Again, our fight is nobody else's business." Thor and Enel roared, and countless lightning surged on his body, completely enveloping him. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a blue monster with a green face and fangs. It was Enel's strongest thunder god state. Today Thor is different from before. The Thor of the past was huge and fat, looking somewhat unreal. Now he looks unusually solid, with muscular body, and is even smaller, only slightly larger than Enel's normal body. However, the thunder that kept bursting out from his body gave people an extremely powerful feeling. Really like a god. "How scary is this? Your strongest state?" Kizaru's expression became more solemn than ever before. "Give it your all, or you will die." Enel pointed his golden trident at Kizaru and said with great domineering power, "Where are you? Come out and save us. I know you are here." Seeing that no matter how hard her companions struggled, they would disappear under the attack of the terrifying man not far away, Nico Robin felt unprecedented despair. This time, it even exceeded the time on Judicial Island. She could only shout at the top of her lungs, because she knew Crocodile was definitely here. Why hasn't he shown up yet? Why finally, Chopper, who had transformed into a monster, disappeared, and only Luffy and Nico Robin were left in the Straw Hat Pirates. The bear took heavy steps and approached Nico Robin step by step. Nico Robin staggered and tried to turn around and run away, but the bear's steps were surprisingly fast. He caught up with her in just a few steps and swung his arm at her. Luffy, with bloodshot eyes, rushed over with all his strength to rescue Nico Robin. "Crocodile!" Nico Robin cried in despair. At this critical moment, a figure appeared between the two men, standing between them, and at the same time blocking the bare hand that brought them endless fear. A powerful shockwave suddenly swept around, and Luffy, who had just run not far away, was blown backwards. Even the bear that made the Straw Hat Pirates so desperate retreated more than 10 meters. Nico Robin looked up in disbelief, and a familiar yet unfamiliar face appeared in her sight, with eyes full of heartache. "You are finally here," Nico Robin said with a dull look in her eyes. "Why did you come just now?" Seeing the man in front of her, Nico Robin's heart finally calmed down. However, all the fear, despair, and grievances he had felt since leaving Alabasta burst out at this moment. "What have I done wrong? Why do you want me to suffer this torture again and again? Is your heart made of stone?" Nico Robin grabbed Crocodile collar with both hands and asked with tears in her eyes. "I am sorry, I won't do that again," Crocodile said, apologetically. "What the use of saying this now? All my friends are gone." "They are all gone," Nico Robin cried, beating Crocodile chest hard. "Don't worry, they will be fine." Crocodile hugged Nico Robin tightly. "Take some sleep, and everything will be fine when you wake up." Crocodile spoke to Nico Robin, who was struggling in his arms. Then he used his right hand as a knife and slashed her neck lightly. Robin's vision suddenly went dark and his body fell limply. Crocodile lifted her body and placed her on the grass. "Crocodile, what did you do to Robin?" Luffy saw Robin lying unconscious on the ground and immediately rushed over with a roar. "Just let her get some sleep, otherwise she will have a meltdown, Crocodile said calmly. Crocodile, do you also want to fight against the world government and rescue the Straw Hat Pirates? Bear's gentle voice sounded again. You can continue to send Straw Hat Luffy away, but Nico Robin is mine, and she has to stay. Crocodile turned around and said to the bear. Luffy, who originally thought he was saved, was also stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that his nightmare was still continuing. Fortunately, Robin has the protection of the 7 warlords of the sea, so she should be fine. Goodbye. When Bear heard Crocodile say this, he flashed in front of Luffy without hesitation and said, with a soft pop sound, Luffy also disappeared in the Sabati archipelago. You don't have much time left, Crocodile suddenly asked. You seem to know something, the bear asked. Drago is really unworthy of being a leader, as he could have allowed a person like you to end up like this. Crocodile sighed. Most of Kumo's body has now been transformed into machinery, and no expression can be seen on his face at all. What exactly do you want to say? Kumo's voice gradually became colder. Leave the Revolutionary Army and come help me. My goal is the same as theirs, to overthrow the rule of the nobles. Crocodile looked directly into the other eyes and said sincerely, I don't understand what you are talking about. Kumo said indifferently, don't hide it anymore. Don't you want to become a real person again? Don't you want to get back your lost memories? Don't you want to be with? Does your daughter recognize you? Do I have another daughter? Kumo asked after a moment thought. I can't find any relevant memories. Yes. Most of your memories have been taken out. It's normal that you can't recall things that happened too long ago. Crocodile sighed. You seem to know a lot about me. Kumo paused and said, the information I know only involves a few words related to you, but they are all crucial. Crocodile shook his head and said frankly, can you tell me something? I will leave this world soon. Kumo asked calmly. Most of his body has been transformed now, and he is about to be completely turned into a killing machine. No emotion can be heard from his language. You were born in the kingdom of Sobel. Your family was not wealthy, but you loved reading and were determined to change the world through knowledge. However, the good times didn't last long. Due to the special characteristics of your race, you were kidnapped by human traffickers and sold to the celestial dragons, becoming their captive slave. You were not able to escape until Fisher Tiger climbed up the Red Earth continent and liberated the Holy Land of Marijoa. Later, you returned to the kingdom of Sobaland, with the support of the Revolutionary Army, led a group of people to overthrow the cruel rule of the old king and became the new king. The good times didn't last long. The dragon hoof prints behind you were spread by someone with ulterior motives. The remnants of the old king and the henchmen of the world government counterattacked back to the Sobel kingdom. You were powerless to resist, and could only watch as people close to you were brutally murdered, and all the charges were placed on you. The Revolutionary Army rescued you and helped you escape from the Sobel kingdom, but you were also wrongly labeled a tyrant. With hatred for the celestial dragons and the world government, you joined the Revolutionary Army and spent a few peaceful years, until one day, an agent from the world government found you and threatened the entire Sobel kingdom and your daughter life, asking you to accept Vegapunk transformation research. You are kind-hearted, so you can only compromise in the end and use your ability to photograph your memories. That all I know. Crocodile couldn't refuse the request, and told him everything he knew without any exaggeration. And when he looked at the tall and strong man again, his expressionless face was filled with tears. What a sad life. The baritone remained calm. But what can you do? Even a man as powerful as Long can't help me. I know Dragon is strong, but the Revolutionary Army is too weak. They only know how to violently overthrow the rule of the nobles, but they don't have the power to truly scare the celestial dragons. You know, the Tanlong people wield the ancient weapon Tan Huang, which can destroy a small country with just one strike. This is their real confidence, and I also possess the power that makes the Tanlong people fear me. As long as they know I have this power, they will tolerate everything I do within a limited scope. This could well include the protection of the Sobel kingdom, Crocodile explained confidently. This is hard to believe, Kuma said after a moment's silence. The man who is fighting Kizaru was created by me. Crocodile turned his gaze to the battlefield where Enel was. It truly amazing to be able to stand evenly matched with the Navy highest forces, Kuma said calmly. I can create many people of this strength, Crocodile said proudly. If that the case, why are you so obsessed with me? Kuma asked, somewhat puzzled. One is that your fruit ability is very powerful. As long as I make up for your shortcomings, I can even become a being that can rival the 4 emperors. More importantly, you are a person who makes me feel safe and confident in my support, Crocodile explained. It too late. I can't even be called a human being now. The bear stretched out his fingers and knocked on his head, making a crisp sound of metal hitting metal. You don't have to worry about that at all. I promise I can turn you back to your pre-transformation state, Crocodile assured the bear. One last question. I am sure the dragon won't agree to hand over his partner to someone else. The bear seemed to have been persuaded by Crocodile. For a person like him, some compromises must be made. Besides, I am not an enemy, but rather a very powerful ally, Crocodile said with a chuckle. I sent the Straw Hat Pirates away. I am afraid Dr. Vegapunk will soon shut down my self-awareness under the orders of the world government, Kuma said with some concern. If time could go back, which year would you like to go back to? Crocodile said something that puzzled the bear, as it was very similar to what he usually said before slapping someone away. About 10 years. If possible. Kuma thought for a moment and replied, as you wish. Crocodile stretched out his hand, a ball of pink light bloomed in his hand, and slapped the bear on the body. A magical scene happened. The bear's entire body was wrapped in the pink light, and its muscles and bones began to vibrate uncontrollably. A cry of pain came from the bear mouth, as if it was suffering inhuman torture. Even his cold and ruthless white eyes quickly regained clarity under the influence of the pink light, and his dark pupils appeared. Perhaps because the body was transformed, this process lasted for several minutes. Apart from the cry of pain at the beginning, this strong man gritted his teeth and persevered without making any other sound. Finally, the pink light faded away, and sweat flowed down his clothes like a spring. What a magical ability! Kuma looked at his hands in shock, then punched himself hard a few times. Only the muffled sound of flesh colliding could be heard. My memory has returned too. Kuma frowned in pain. This was also the first time Crocodile saw a human expression on his face. Welcome back, Bartholomew, bear, Crocodile said sincerely. I don't know how to express my gratitude, Kuma said with some emotion. Then come with me to kill those damn celestial dragons. Crocodile stretched out his hand. After a moment hesitation, the bear finally reached out and shook Crocodile's hand. But before the war between the Navy and Whitebeard, you have to endure it and continue to play the role of a robot. Crocodile thought for a moment and said, "That not hard." The bear said, "Your daughter is in the Sabati archipelago now. Do you want to see her?" Crocodile changed the subject. Daughter Crocodile's suggestion seemed to touch the softest part of this tough guy heart, and the bear looked into the distance in a trance. I wonder if she has changed a lot now. Kuma clenched his fists anxiously. Ever since I took out my memories, I completely forgot that I had a daughter. I don't know what she looked like when she was a child, but she is a very pretty girl now. But his appetite is a bit scary, and his temper is also very bad. Crocodile paused and said, "Maybe she has forgotten me," Kuma said with some self-doubt. "From what I have heard, her dream of becoming a pirate was to find you," Crocodile said with a sigh. Kuma was shocked when he heard that. He covered his eyes tightly with one hand and tears fell uncontrollably again. "I am really not worthy of being a father," Kuma said with a sob. Crocodile wanted to pat the bear on the shoulder to comfort him, but when he looked at the bear height of nearly 7 meters, he gave up the idea. He could only reach out his hand and patted Kuma on the waist twice and said, "She must understand your difficulties. Otherwise she wouldn't be so determined to find you. Before I have enough ability to protect her, I don't want to recognize her for the time being. I will be satisfied just by seeing her from afar." After crying for a while, Kuma wiped away his tears and said sullenly, "That good." She seemed to have appeared at GR number 6 before. "You can go look for her there." Crocodile pointed in a direction and said, "Thank you again, Crocodile." Bear stood in front of Crocodile holding the book he had loved since childhood and said sincerely, "You should inform long in advance." "I will go to Baldigo to meet him after the war," Crocodile reminded. "Okay." The bear agreed straightforwardly, and then disappeared from the spot in an instant. The battle between Enel and Kizaru has become somewhat stalemate, and neither can do anything to the other. Enel Thunder God form greatly increases both speed and strength, putting great pressure on Kizaru. The admiral body was also covered with wounds and bloody holes. Bang, 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 what a wonderful fight! Crocodile applauded while standing not far from the two of them. Hearing his voice, the two quickly separated and hovered in the air looking at him. "Crocodile, you let your men openly attack the admirals of the navy, but you want to be the enemy of the world government." Kizaru, who was always calm and composed, rarely showed anger and questioned Crocodile loudly. "No, no, no. We have no intention of becoming an enemy of the world government. My friend just saw a top-level warrior like Admiral Kizaru and wanted to ask you for advice and learn some naval combat experience." "How can it be called an attack?" Crocodile waved his hand pretending to be indifferent. "But it's true that he provided a lot of convenience for the Straw Hat Pirates' escape, right?" Kizaru said stiffly with his eyes narrowed. "Well, it just happened to happen. There may be some misunderstandings. It's well known that I have conflicts with the Straw Hat Pirates. How could I be so kind as to help them?" Crocodile continued to pretend. Kizaru was speechless for a moment, his chest heaving with anger, but he didn't dare to make any other moves. If Crocodile men were as strong as his, then anyone with enough experience could imagine how strong Crocodile was. "The Navy will take note of this," Kizaru threatened coldly. "It's up to you. Unless there is a clear order from the government, the Shichibukai are not obliged to get along with the Navy," Crocodile said in a relaxed tone. "What an annoying guy," Kizaru said helplessly. "Enel, did you enjoy yourself?" Crocodile asked Enel, whose body was covered with hideous wounds. I really had a great time today. It's really exciting to compete with someone at the level of an admiral." Enel grinned proudly. "Now that you have had your fun, let go." "Admiral Borsellino still has many pirates to catch," Crocodile said with a chuckle. "These bastards, are they treating me as a sparring tool?" Kizaru complained with gritted teeth. "Well, Mr. Admiral, see you in Marineford." Crocodile waved at Kizaru and walked away with Enel. Kizaru watched the two people backs disappear before he breathed a sigh of relief and slowly landed on the ground. "Grandpa, are you okay?" Sentomaru asked with concern. "Fortunately, no vital parts were injured." Kizaru frowned and endured the pain to take off the blood-stained suit and cloak. Since becoming the Admiral of the Navy, he has forgotten how many years it has been since he last shed blood. After tearing the cloak into strips and tightly bandaging several wounds that were still bleeding, Kizaru took out the den-den-mushi with a serious expression. "Mr. Sengoku, while I was capturing the Straw Hat Pirates, I was attacked by the Shichibukai crocodile men. I can no longer continue the mission. Please send someone else." "What, are you kidding? A dignified admiral of the Navy? How could you be injured by the subordinates of a mere Shichibukai?" Sengoku roared in disbelief. "That right, it's the user with lightning ability who once appeared in Alabasta. He is as strong as a monster," Kizaru said in a deep voice. Holy Land Marijoa. Marshal Sengoku, who had just met the 5 Elder Stars, held his forehead and suffered a severe headache. "Crocodile is such a bastard. I just issued a conscription order to him and he sent people to attack the general. This is expressing dissatisfaction with us and a slap in the face of our navy." Sengoku cursed with a grim face. "He just resigned from Alabasta, and then he showed the navy that his men are as capable as admirals. This is a warning to us not to mess with him. Even his subordinates have such amazing fighting power, so his own strength is probably comparable to the 4 emperors." Cold sweat broke out on Sengoku's forehead, and deep worry was revealed on his face. "Should we continue to recruit him to participate in the execution of Fire Fist Ace?" asked the adjutant worriedly. "Such a powerful and ambitious person must also want to see one of the former 4 emperors fall, right?" Sengoku said hesitantly. "At this point, we can only take a gamble and see if he wants to push Whitebeard off the altar and become the new Emperor of the Sea." Sengoku closed his eyes, his heart full of confusion. Now that Borsellino is injured, and their only Garp in charge of Marineford, this guy is definitely unwilling to work for the Celestial Dragons. Thinking of this, Sengoku got a headache again. "Forget it, notify the other 5 vice admirals who stayed behind in the headquarters, and go to the Sabati archipelago together to capture the remaining pirates and give an explanation to the Celestial Dragons." Sengoku ordered his adjutant with a helpless look on his face. On board the Ark Maxim, it hurts, boss. Can't you be gentler?" Enel complained with a grin. "Does anyone who dares to challenge the Admiral of the Navy fear pain?" Crocodile teased with a joking look on his face. His palm rubbed heavily on Enel's wound, and the wound that was originally cut by the sharp blade miraculously recovered. "Is this a new ability that Crocodile bought, or the cha-cha fruit?" "One of the ways of using this ability has an unparalleled miraculous effect in treating external injuries, and can directly erase the scars on the patient body." After several twists and turns, Enel, who was originally covered in scars, was now as clean as new. After a fierce battle with the Admiral, he suffered no losses except for a lot of physical exhaustion,